Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we are going to create a card. We're using a new item over at C&CT Stamp. This is part of their Let's Chill release, and I'm excited because it's an embossing folder, and C&CT's embossing folders are typically 3D. You can see how detailed it is. But there's a coordinating die that will die cut out the flower too. And I like layers, so I think this is going to be really neat. This is the embossing folder and cutting die dandy floral set. And we're going to do a little bit of embossing and die cutting. And so we're going to jump in and get started. Now, I am going to do a little bit of coloring on my embossing folder. I think that's the best way to do this because it is so pretty. And whenever I do emboss and die cut, I like to die cut first and then emboss because that way I keep the integrity of my embossed panel. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take a piece of white cardstock and I'm going to go ahead and use the flower, and I'm going to die cut out the flower in some white cardstock. Okay, after we have our flower die cut, I'm going to bring in another new item that is part of the C&CT Stamp Let's Chill release, and these are C&CT's brand new detail blending brushes. I think it'll be perfect to get in some of these smaller areas. For the most part, I want a blue background, and then I want to I'm going to first take Salty Ocean Distress Oxide ink, and then using my larger blending brush, I'm going to go over the top of my embossing folder, and I'm going to go right over the flower. And then I'm going to go ahead and use a baby wipe. And I want to remove some of the ink from my leaf. And then I'm going to go in with a darker ink, which is Chipped Sapphire. I'm going to add a little, I'm going to add some darker ink on the very top, so it kind of will fade. At least that's what I'm hoping. I'm going to go over my entire background with a lighter ink on the bottom. I think that's going to work out great. So a little bit of tumbled glass on the bottom. So we have 3 different colors of blue. Now I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to bring in some Avery Elle Clear Shimmer Spray, and I'm going to spray the background. Kind of heavily. And then I'm going to take my cardstock, place it on my panel where I want it to go, and then I can close the lid. And when I use C&CT's embossing folders, I use the back of the packaging too. For me, it just works better for my die cutting sandwich. Okay, I didn't realize this when I ran this through my die cut machine, but I actually debossed instead of embossed. This is embossed where it's raised, but I kind of like the debossed, so I'm going to roll with this. So I'm making sure that my my panel is on the right side, and then we're going to add some greenery using 2 different colored green inks. I'm going to start with Shabby Shutters, and I'll use my detail blending brush here, and I'm going to go over the raised areas of my my leaves. And it's okay if it's hit and miss with it, kind of creating a watercolory look actually. And then once I have my Shabby Shutters, we're going to go in with Mowed Lawn and add a little bit of two-tone. Okay, I think we have some two-tone areas. And then we're going to bring back our Avery Elle Clear Shimmer Spray. I'm going to remove this here. I'm going to spray my embossing folder. And then I'll take my original panel and I'm going to line it up, kind of wiggle it around until it fits into the creases of the reverse side. And then I can close this up. Oops, you want to make sure that you get that back in there where it was. And then I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. Okay. Oh, it looks really pretty. It the green kind of went up a little bit, but I'm loving the way this looks so far. Now I'm going to wipe off my panel. Okay, now we're going to work on, now that we have our green done, how pretty is that? Now I want to work on my embossed. And this one, for this one I think I want to do the emboss, so I flipped it around, and then we're going to actually add, I want to add some ink here. And to do that, I'm going to use fossilized to amber and then my detail brush here. I think I want to leave little pockets of white. And then I'm going to add a little bit of peacock feathers. No, I'm going to add a little bit of Kitsch Flamingo in the center here. Okay, let's see how this goes. I'm going to add some spray. And then, since I already have this placed, I'm just going to close the lid. And then I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. Okay, let's see what this did. Ooh, how pretty. That is really pretty. Okay, I'm going to wipe off my die cutting machine here. Look how gorgeous. That's just beautiful. I know this is going to be the opposite way since this is debossed and this is embossed, I think, but that's okay. I think that looks really pretty. And then my panel size, I don't know if I mentioned, it's 4 inches by 5 1/4, so it's slightly smaller than my card base. Now I do want to add a few extra elements to this card. So for my sentiment, I'm going to bring in the bold things. And then I'm going to die cut out this 3 times with white cardstock, and then I'm also going to use some the leaves in the etched meadow flower and leaves die set from Simon. I love these leaves, and I'm going to die cut these out with some white cardstock for a little bit of contrast. So let's get to die cutting. I went ahead and die cut 3 things, and then I also die cutted 2 leaves here. Now I'm going to use one of my micro dot sheets from Simon. Pull one out, and I'm actually going to trim. I'm going to trim this down here just so it's a little more manageable. And then I'm going to stack my thanks all together. So we're going to open up our micro dot sheet, and then I'm going to add my thanks, and my thanks. Then I'm also going to add my leaves here. Just going to press down real good. If you want to use your bone folder, you could, but I think this is going to work out just fine. And then I'm going to stack my thanks together. Gosh, this makes it so easy with no glue. If you haven't tried the micro dot sheets, you're going to love them. There's one, and then you see how easy that is? And you definitely don't have to mess with the glue. I'm going to add another one. Okay, so they stack beautifully. I'm going to take my etched meadow leaves, and then we're going to add these to our card. And then I'll take my thanks, and before we adhere our thanks, I'm going to go ahead and pop up this, I'm going to go ahead and adhere this panel to my card base. So we're going to need a little bit, I'm going to use, my panel is still a little bit wet, but I think it's workable. Let's adhere this to our card base, which is a standard A2 size card base. I think that looks good. Now I'm going to take my daffodil, my flower, I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind here. Add my floral. And you can see, since it's upside down, I don't think that's going to make that big of a difference, but I'm going to go ahead and add my sentiment. Just kind of do a little bit of layering. And then I do want a little bit of sparkle on my flower. So for that, I'm going to add a few gems. Okay, I have a few gems in the center of my flower. Kind of hard to pick up that sparkle. And I have a little bit of pink in the center of my flower, and I think I want to add a little bit of pink to the bottom of my thanks. So I'm going to use my detail blending brush here and just add a little bit of shading to the bottom of that. I think that's what that needed. A little bit of pink. Since this is oxide ink, what I can do to even blend it out more is I can take my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen and just kind of fade up with this. Okay, I just added a few extra larger gems, and then I think that's just what we needed. That will finish off my project for today using the C&CT Stamp Dandy Floral Embossing Folder and Die Cutting set. Thanks for joining me. Have a wonderful day. We will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.